Hey guys, before we get started, why don't you jump down to the comments real quick and let me know what sort of content you're looking to learn here. I have started to kind of get through all of the different types of image types that I generally produce. We've done interiors, we've done exteriors, we've done drone things, details, vignettes, we've done corporate stuff, we've done residential stuff. So if you have a specific type of image that you'd still like to see me produce, or a specific technique, or a specific kind of thing we do with photography, architectural photography, please let me know in the comment below so I can start to tailor these images to what you guys want to learn. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Hope your day is going well. Today we're going to be retouching a residential interior, a kitchen this time. I'm going to walk you through the whole process I'm going to walk you through the whole process of the shoot first. Then we'll talk about this kitchen, why we chose this elevation, and how we got to where we got. So I just want to give you a quick preview. This is the finished, retouched, delivered shot. This was the raw photograph right here, out of camera. There was actually quite a lot of alts, a little bit of lighting. You're going to learn a lot here about the process here. It's a pretty heavy lift on this one, even though it looks pretty subtle. There's just a lot of very small moves that we did. So let me take you through first the whole process of the shoot. I'm going to show you the whole set here. So starting with exteriors, this is a dusk view. We had a lot of wildfire smoke on this shoot, which was problematic. We were there for a couple different projects that were in the same area, so we sort of had 2 days to work, but both days we had heavy overcast most of the time because of this thick layer of wildfire smoke. So we relied pretty heavily on dusks and dawns, and then anytime the sun did really come out, we would just run outside and try to take advantage of the light wherever it was. So this is a really beautiful shot. Lake Michigan is behind me. This project's in Michigan. I'm on the sort of southeast end of the lake, so this shot is looking kind of southeast as well from the northwest, and we've got sort of this beautiful sunset happening, lit up some clouds that were over the house. So we had that. We waited for a very long time here for the dusk and the sunset to really happen, and we were very lucky. We had these. I guess I'm not in Photoshop, but you can see we had these deer. This group of deer walk by, and it was pretty magical. So we had to be quiet and still and wait for them. A day version of that shot where we did get some high sun. It wasn't ideal lighting conditions. I would have shot this earlier in the day when the light was raking across the building a little better, but again, this is the light we had to work with, so that's what we got. I'm going to turn off my camera here. I've been doing that more for you guys, just so you can see the whole images. No reason to look at my face when you could look at pictures. Version with and without a person on the swing here. This is actually a drone photo from pretty much in a tree. There's a pretty steep sand dune falling down here, so had to get the drone out for that. This is the best light we got this morning. You can see the red light filtered through the trees here, but an elevation of the entry approach to the house. Another exterior view with the swing, again with and without a person. With and without a person, a detail of the beautiful shushugiban, the charred wood on the exterior. Photograph from the entry. So this is, you walk in the door and then you can either go down the stair or take a left or right and enter the house, and this is the view that you get over the top of the stair. It's really quite beautiful. This is one of the architects that I had walked down on the beach down here. The elevation of the kitchen that we'll be talking about today. An oblique view of the kitchen. That's without people. We did a version with people as well. So an elevation looking back toward the lake. again, rough conditions. This is actually full sun, but that's all wildfire smoke all the way to the horizon, so you can see the sun is coming in at us, but you know, not ideal. This is just such a beautiful house. I think I did another short retouching video on this image. A couple of these sort of vignettes. Vignettes like this, these vertical sort of moments in the house, really add to the texture of a shoot. Here is the office that's just behind the kitchen in the photograph that we're gonna retouch. Another vignette of the bedroom with my assistant here, Brian. He's sitting on the bed for some scale. Another view from the bedroom, really nice. Kind of just a entry closet detail, and then there's a little peek, the bathroom. That's the bathroom door. It's sort of hidden in the closet wall. Little bathroom detail of some custom millwork that was done. Another bathroom detail, and the bunk room downstairs. 6 bunks in this room, super cool. All right, so then we came back during the winter time, because this house is, you know, it's so important that it can be used, you know, in the summer when it's beautiful and you can go to the beach, but also to be cozy and warm up in your house. This is awfully nice. I'm going to tell you guys a story about this. So this is a dawn photo, obviously here, winter dawn, and I drove over from Chicago. It's a couple-hour drive, so I left Chicago at 3 or 4 in the morning, and we actually didn't plan to meet for a dawn shot. We planned to meet a little bit afterwards. So I called the architect, and he said, "Oh yeah, I'm just getting in the car." So he was a couple hours behind me, and he said, "I've got the door code, or the lockbox code. You can just let yourself in to turn the lights on," because I wanted to get it lit up here for the dawn photo. And so I got to the house. It was dark still. It was freezing cold. I mean, it was maybe 10 degrees Fahrenheit, and it was just a howling wind. And I I got there, and the lockbox was fully covered in ice. It had been blowing snow and ice beforehand, and the lockbox was just coated in ice. I tried everything I could to warm this thing up, but it was locked to a railing, and I just couldn't get in there. So I went to the gas station, a few miles away, and I got I got hot tea water from the coffee maker, and I brought it back and poured it on the lockbox, and that's how I was able to get in and turn the lights on. And fortunately, I was able to make it down and get the photo just as the I had to do a little bit of compositing, but I was able to get what I needed. So it was a super cold day, but yeah, this snowy image really complements the summertime image a lot. So very happy with this one. We got another view during the winter, a drone photo during the winter. That's me walking in my red coat. And lastly, I did one interior, just kind of showing what it feels like to be there with a warm fire during a snowstorm. So really nice project. I think it's important for you guys to get the whole scope of a delivered project. Helps to understand sort of what I'm delivering, what an architect is expecting. So let's talk about this. One last thing before we get started. I'll take you through the process of the image. So I set the camera down here, got squared up, got centered, and took my first exposure. So we had just finished doing this, oblique view. That's shot number 6360. Here's 6361. So it's truly the first shot where I set my camera down. You see we have a lot of cleanup to do. So we started doing that. I started blacking out. You can see the reflection behind me. I knew that was going to be a big problem, this whole reflection of the windows behind me. So I started experimenting with taking the blinds down, with hanging big pieces of black cloth behind me. I wanted to make sure it was going to be doable, so it looks like it's going to be. So we set that down and kept moving here. That's with the blinds down. It doesn't really work because the blinds aren't truly blackouts, right? So we still have a weird sort of soft glow in this whole area, so we realized that wasn't going to work. Started to remove things. My assistant and the architect went outside and moved the big gas grill you see on the right here. We started to, position coats, position the coffee or the tea kettle there. Started to play with the position of the props in the frame. I started to make small adjustments to my camera, my crop, my height, things like that. You see we're cleaning more things up on the left here. Starting to get kind of honed in on the shot now. You can also see there's a light. I set a light in the office that you saw here. That's behind this wing, this sort of a wing wall that goes out and comes back. So set a light. I knew it wasn't going to be perfect because we're going to have this shadow from the thickness of the wall here, and I couldn't position the light in a way that lit the entire room perfectly. So we'll fix that later in Photoshop. We're getting close. Now we're starting to really position all the chairs, the bar stools, get everything symmetrical and centered. We're getting close here. Oh yeah, now we're starting to play with grabbing alts and things that we need for the tile backsplash above the stove there. So here you can see I also put an umbrella up. You can see there's a shadow here of the I'll make this into a cursor here so you can better see. Yeah, so I added some light to give me edges on things here. See all this beautiful light that I've got on the chair edges. On the side wall makes it, the fill is a little more even. So that was the end of that shot there. There's the last couple of alts. So so let's open the photograph in Photoshop. Actually, it's already open. And we'll get started. So once more, this is the finished shot. Here's the raw. So what we did is we took a file that had I have a black cloth hung here, and then I have another alt where I hung it up higher. I don't mind a little bit. I am intentionally leaving a little bit of gloss of reflection in these tiles because I don't want these to feel like they're some matte painted tile. They are, ceramic glazed tiles, and it's important to be able to speak to materiality. So we are going to leave a little bit of that in. So let's get started. The first thing we do every time, well, first I'm going to grab any alts that I have and drop them in. Here I have my dark alt for my exterior. Here I have my alt for my tiles. And so those are already dropped in. We'll leave those down here, and we'll drop them in first, and then we'll go in and start doing our deletions, things like that. So, okay, let's get started. Let's drop in this exterior first. So I've committed to dropping in an exterior, and I want to do it at a percentage that, well, since we have leaves that we're moving outside, we want to do it basically at 100%. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll take a darker file than I need, and I'll drop it in at 30% or 50% or something like that, just so that I can sort of feather it in. But when it was a very windy day, so I need to drop it in at 100%. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pick. I usually will leave the wood inside and take the dark tones from the glazing on the exterior and use that as my dividing point. So I've just made a quick polygonal lasso for that, and I'm just gonna mask that in, and we're gonna check it. So that looks like the right amount of tone, right? Oh, it should be pointed out, I already did a little work on this because I just copied the image over from the other file, but I went ahead and took, I cleaned up I retouched out the gas line and the like sort of, you know, dark spots on the exterior. So you're not going to see me do that, but know that I did it. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to use the line of the wood, and we're not going to touch the wood. We're just going to take the glazing itself and drop that in. We've got a little bit of a handle there. We're going to come back and cut that out. Always important. You know, if there's hardware that's on the inside, you're going to darken it a lot by dropping it in. Looks like my selection isn't perfect there. I was zoomed out a little bit much. We'll correct that. Looks like it was just one part of it that wasn't good. Here, okay. We'll drop this back in then. That was a bad selection there, yeah, okay. So again, now we're just going to click on our background mask. We're going to make sure that if I hit X, I can switch from black to white here, right? So I'm just going to make sure that white is selected so that when I delete things, it's going to you know, add white to the mask. So yes, that's good. Last piece here. Okay. So we'll delete that out of our mask, or add it to our mask if you want to say it that way. And that is dropped in and good. So now I've just taken a piece of my alternate. So what I did here is I just processed an alternate that had the here we can even just run and look at it, right? So this is our alternate that we processed, right? So we're just going to take that and I just cut a piece out of it essentially and dropped it into my file. We're going to make sure that it's registered correctly. Oops, gotta turn on my actual background image. Yeah, so it's registered perfectly. You can see there's really not even an iota of pixel shift there. So all we're going to do then is we're going to just make a new layer. Actually, rather than just clicking on this and making a new mask layer, I'm going to option click it, which gives me a black mask. That way, you know, it's one fewer steps for me to then black that whole mask out. Now I'm going to hit X again just to switch to my my higher layers, the white layer, and I'm going to just take a brush at 10% opacity. I'm sorry, 10% flow, and we're going to just start to brush this away until it feels right. I might take all of it. I might leave a little bit of modeling in the tiles. That feels good to me. Super easy, so much easier, guys. So much easier than being like, oh, I can just fix that in Photoshop and, you know, cutting tiles and replacing them and trying to make the pattern match. Plus we've got like a, you know, we've got a linear light that's washing a wall wash from above, so you're going to end up, you know, running into big problems on these first couple tiles because there's no way they're going to match these if you try to replace by copying and sliding it up. So doing it the right way in the field is just better. We're going to make a new layer, call it Retouch, and we'll start to remove things. Okay, so we're just going to work kind of around this image from top to bottom. We're going to take the remove tool for starters. I just, well, I guess I'm recording this on a Thursday, so a video just released, and it was the video about all the different remove tools that I use and how I use them. So if you haven't watched that video and you want to know why I'm using the remove tool sometimes versus the clone stamp or the perspective clone stamp or the healing brush or the spot healing brush or the patch tool, just go ahead and I'll put a little I'll put a link to that video right here so you can check it out. Okay, so the ceiling is now looking good to me. We'll move down to the walls and the I have a regret here. I feel like I should have just taken this frame off the wall. I don't like the way that it's just coming in, you know, this much. Really not a fan of it, but you know, it is what it is. We're not going to do anything about it. So I pretty much always take every device out of an image. You know, we've got thermostats, we've got fire fire sprinklers and in corporate interiors. We've got, you know, switches, we've got outlets, we've got all this stuff. It doesn't do anything for us. Sometimes they're like highly designed. I think I forgot to take the remote out. I might have an alt for that where I went back and removed it, but it'll take us more time to go look for that alt than to just do it ourselves right now. So we'll just take it out here. No problem. Okay, so I just switched to the clone stamp, gave myself a little buffer, and made sure I had a you know, that line of that wood didn't curve or bend or anything. We're gonna fix this reflection in a minute too. That's something I didn't catch in the field, and I should have probably just moved my car and done an alt. That's my car reflecting back there. Done an alt, but I didn't do it, so it is what it is. Little bolt, you know, popping off the bottom of that chair. That's not doing anything for us. That's a light spot in the darkness. We don't like that. Make sure you do it to all of them. The copper patina on these chairs is pretty cool. There's a hot pixel right there. Okay, getting close. We've got a tricky little switch plate here. Might be, yeah, don't love it. I mean, it's sort of what's happening, isn't it? But I think we might just take a really light clone stamp and just brush a little bit of this away. This like white line, just I feel like it should fade into darkness a little more up here. So this is where it gets artistic. I'm just kind of grabbing different samples with my clone stamp and blending them in. Anytime that I get close to the edge, I always re-sample and register it so that I don't end up with a little shadow barrier there. That's looking better. See, I just carved in like a diagonal line that I extended it through there. Feels good. Another switch plate down here, or switch plate outlet. We got another, you know, frame edge issue here. I'm going to use the clone stamp for this since I want to make sure that line registers perfectly. So it started at 10% flow and I just jammed it up to 50 real quick there. A couple dirty spots on the floor. We did sweep and everything for this, you know, when we were making this image, but you know, can't get everything. There's still going to be little smudges and stuff. There's going to be a lot of color work to do because this is actually blue, this sort of gray looking thing. We got blue problems here. We got you know, cross curve happening where we have this greenish light coming from the exterior here. We're going to get to all that in a minute. Feeling pretty good about the removals. That was them. You know, this light's not doing anything for me. Like all these other lights are pretty symmetrical and nice. This one's just kind of up in the corner, drawing attention to the edge of my frame that I don't need attention, or where I don't need attention. I'm gonna actually see if the remove tool can do a better job than me on this, since we have like an uneven wood thing happening here. That's pretty good. Okay. Nope, no, it's not good. Actually, it's not good at all. You can see there's like a little, again, if we shake it a little bit, we can see this sort of dark light contrast thing that's happening. So we'll fix that up. That's better. We're also going to have to check our register here. I think that this house is actually a little bit tricky because it wasn't square to the turn snap off here. Sometimes if you have snap on, it's trying, when you're adding a guide, it's trying to snap to the edge of your retouching layer pixels that you've put in, so that was just jumping around. Anyhow, this house is actually not, this room isn't actually square. It's slightly out of square based on the exterior of the house. I don't know if we can see it in any of these files, probably not, but the thing is actually, it's actually like a slight wedge shape to it. So it ends up being making for some weird little relationships in the I might just be slightly out of square here, but I had to be very careful, I remember, on that. So okay, so we're finished with our retouching layer. We will now go to our color layer and or our color layers here, and we're gonna have to affect a lot of things. So I'm going to go back quickly into Capture One, and we're going to take a quick look at some of the other images where we saw this. You can see that the actual blue color of this this island when I lit it and it wasn't all backlit. It's this sort of light blue soft color, and it's coming across way too gray here. So what we're gonna do is, you can see, let's see if I can find the layer where I did it. Oh, you know what, this reminds me, we do have another, yeah, right here. So this is the this is the mask that I made. I'm tempted to just grab this mask. You know what, we're just gonna duplicate this layer because I don't want to spend a half an hour for you guys just remaking this mask. So I'm gonna just copy this layer up above here for you. We'll delete the content that's on our we'll just, you know, delete it here and we'll, okay. So now I have the mask, at least we don't have to remake it, but you can see what I did here is I literally had to go in and cut all these masks custom. So I went in and spent probably a half an hour, 20 minutes at least, with my polygonal lasso, just taking pieces of this off at a time and tracing around every single thing. So we don't need to do that today. So now that I have my mask made, I'll throw a selection on it so you can see what it looks like. Okay, now that I have my mask made, we're just going to take this, make sure that, it would have started off as a normal layer. We'll slide it down to color here, and we will take a blue that we believe to be correct, probably down here in the shadows. Maybe that's a little too blue, but we'll brush it in at 10% flow or something, and we'll see where it lands. So we'll just start to brush it in. See how it's just starting to feel more like the, here, I'll turn it off for you. On, off, on. It's starting to feel better, right? It feels more like this. That blue is maybe slightly lighter. We could, if we want to lighten that blue, density is going to not be affected by a color layer, but we could take a curve and just lighten it slightly, just a little bit like that, just so it feels more like the other image, which I know to be more true to life there, right? So, okay. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to correct the color on the wood back here. All right. So we're just gonna, this is an easier selection. I'll do this live with you guys. I'm going to just take my polygonal lasso here. You gotta watch out when you get to these reveals. Sometimes you see a little chunk of the wall through, the wall that's behind the reveal, and you just gotta make sure that you're not cutting that off and then coloring that wall section. It's a pretty dead giveaway that some work was done to the image, so we don't want to leave a trace, just like camping in the woods, right? Leave no trace. All right. Getting there. Just outlining. It's a little tricky when you have these like soft focus parts, right? You just kind of gotta go with your gut on where the line is, and then you can always go back in with a brush on the mask and softly brush it away, giving you a like line that's not going from 100% opacity to 0% opacity in 1 pixel or 2. It's just you can soften that edge. Maybe we can do that. We'll take a look at it if we need to, and we'll do it. I doubt we need to, because we're not going to really affect that part that much. So I'm going to just cut this orange bowl off for a second, and we'll come back and remove it. That way I just have a really good complete mask, and then I can work on that section individually. Almost there. Okay, we are there. Okay, so we've got the mask drawn, but the oranges are included. So we're just going to go back to our lasso tool. We're going to hold Option, and we're just going to remove. So all you have to do is hold Option for the first click, and then you see the little minus sign stays by the polygonal lasso. So we might have to remove that. We probably should have included the handle that's on the drawer that's behind these oranges as well. But we'll do that, I guess, separately because I forgot to do it. when I started this selection. Okay, those clicks are made. We'll just remove this handle because we don't want to make this handle wood color either. Oh, interesting. It's got a reflection. Yeah, reflection's fine. Okay. This handle needs to go as well. We may have to individually color this handle because it seems a little, well, it seems pretty stainless steely. It's probably fine to leave it as it is. There's a little blemish on it though. We should catch that with our retouch layer. Here, I'm just going to do that now since I've got the selection made. I'm just going to, so I just jump to the retouch layer. I'm going to grab a clone stamp and just line it up and fix it. Oh no, we just cut it out of the mask, didn't we? So I have to invert the mask. Invert the mask. Excuse me. I'll invert it. So select inverse. Select modify inverse is how you get to. Oh, I guess it's already there. Select modify. Oh, they changed it. Yeah, select inverse right there. I haven't looked at that menu since Photoshop CS2 or something, so I've just been using the the shortcut. Okay, so we've got we're going to put our color layer here above the other color layer, but below the curves layer. So new layer, hit the mask button, and there we've got our mask, right? Now we're going to just change our attribute to color. Go back to our brush. This is the color that isn't reflecting light, so we're going to grab that. And we're going to, I'm just thinking there's a tip that I haven't brought up before. If you're selecting, I'm just clicking around here on different parts of the image, and you're seeing the color is moving, but not a lot, right? It's because I have my sample size on a 5x5 average here. You never want to be on point sample unless there's a very good reason to. So if I'm on point sample, you see how much it's jumping around here? Because if I select a pixel that happens to be a little bit brighter than the others, it's going to jump really far. And same with darker, right? Like you can see if I get too close to this reveal, it's going, that's what my shadow looks like, right? But if I'm on a 5x5 average, it's going to take 25 pixels or whatever, and it's going to average them, right? So it's just taking a square and averaging it. Even if I get close to the edge, it's still going to be a wood tone. It's not going to be some like red black tone from the reveal there. So important to use a 5x5 average. Probably don't need to use much bigger than that. 11 by 11 is probably fine. Anything bigger than that is going to be too wild. But yeah, that's how you want to select your wood tone. You can see how much variance is in the wood. So all right, so now that we've got our color selected, we're going to go in with our classic 10% flow brush and just start to fix it. Look at that. 2, maybe 3 brushes over it, and we've taken away all that gross cyan, gray, green tone that we had in that wood, right? We don't like that. That's not what wood looks like. Even to our eye, it doesn't look that way, right? I am going to desaturate this metal now. I don't like the way that it's feeling greenish blue because it was also reflecting. So I'm just going to go ahead and select that, make a new hue saturation layer, and just desaturate it. That way it's not feeling so hyper green. Subtle, but again, subtlety is king. Okay, so colors fixed here. Colors fixed here. We still need to address this room. We also need to address this wall. So there's, again, this this wall is feeling rather color casted from the light coming in from the windows. I'm not going to worry about this bottom section, and I'm not actually even going to worry about this bowl because there's a reason for that. So I've just made a selection, and it's sloppy. But now we're going to hit Q to get us into quick mask. We're going to hit B to get into brush. We're going to use a white brush, so we're removing mask. And I'm just going to start to brush away areas that I don't really want to affect. So the areas with the light on it didn't really need, so there. Now we've got a soft mask with hard edges, right? We're gonna just go ahead and take another hue saturation layer to that and just desaturate it. Very good. So you can see it took the weird greenish blue tone out of this. I don't know how to make this easier to see on in Photoshop or on YouTube for you guys. I hope you can see off, on, off, on. You can see particularly in here there's some green blue color cast. I've just removed it. We're gonna do the same thing here. So I can also add mask in a different way, okay? So if I just cut myself an edge and I want to add to our mask that we already are working on, okay? So if I don't hit backspace or delete, whatever you want to say, I'm not doing anything here. But if I cut myself a bounding box like that and then I take a brush with white, I can just start to brush white into my mask here, and it won't escape the confines of our marquee, right? So I can just brush this blue out of this room, a little bit out of here too, a little bit my black coat that we chose to leave there. Okay, so I've made a mistake. I accidentally left my retouch layer above my other layers, and you can start to see we took an outlet here out, and it's starting to just show up as this weird orange blob, right? Looks terrible. So a perfect example of why you need to keep your layers in the correct order. All we need to do is grab our retouch layer, drag it down here to the top of our pixel layers, which is right there. Now our color layers and curves layers and hue saturation layers are above that. So easy fix, but that's the reason we need to keep our layers in the correct order. I just made a mistake early on and it just kept, you know, going higher and higher in the stack. Glad we caught that, because I'm sure it was causing a problem right here too. The mislay, yep, you see it? There it is. So if I had it higher in my stack, it was being affected by both the color layer there and then the curves layer. Yep, there's the curves layer, there's the color layer. So gotta keep that in the right spot. Very good. All right, so our wall now looks nice. Here's the hue saturation layer for that. You can see it's affecting both walls. Now it's time to fix this stuff. We're gonna fix the TV first. So all I'm gonna do here is take a section of my my dark layer that I used for my exterior, right? So I'm just gonna click on the dark layer, not on the mask itself, but on the layer. I'm just gonna take a piece that's bigger than I need it to be here, maybe from in here. And I'm gonna Command J on that just to make a duplicate of it, okay? So now I have a piece of that I can just slide around. I'm gonna take it, oh, that's fun. You can see where it goes underneath our color layer that we used for the wood there. Okay, so I'm gonna take this and I want it to read a little bit more like a reflection than just like a window, right? So I'm gonna skew this, okay? So edit, transform, skew, and I'm just gonna sort of vaguely mimic what the reflection would be doing. Okay, I'm gonna move it just on top of the screen there. I'm gonna turn it off for a second, and then I'm just gonna take this guy, and we're just gonna, if anything, we should just overshoot here just because we don't want to leave like a weird little white or black band that's around the image. Okay, so we'll turn it back on now that we've selected the screen, and we're just going to add a mask to it there, and then we're just going to take the opacity down maybe 30% or so. Let's throw it down to 70%. So we don't want to make it too light where we can't even see it, but we don't want to make it look like it's a literal window, right? So you want to always leave a little bit of the reflection and you know, that you're gonna lose it in the bounce from a mirror. You're gonna lose some of the luminance, some of the brightness to it, right? So we want to leave a little bit of that reflection and stuff that's naturally happening. So that looks better. Now it looks just like a, you know, a screen that's reflecting the exterior. So fine with that. The next thing we're gonna do here, we're gonna cut our white wall out and we're gonna fix our strobe shadow problem that I talked about earlier when we were in Capture 1. Okay, so I'm just gonna select carefully this whole white piece of drywall. And then we're going to we're gonna make a new layer. We're gonna actually brush in tone. Gotta be careful here. This is important. Like, we gotta zoom in and really pay attention to this edge because we're gonna be brushing away tone. I actually wanna leave a little bit, this is actually very tricky. I wanna leave a little bit of this shadow here. So I'm just gonna guesstimate where I want this line to be. We may have to go in carefully with a brush and fix that, since we didn't need to do it on the other image. I never really looked at that closely with you, but okay, we can zoom back out. We can start to be a little less careful about our mask over here because I know we're not going to have any pixels that are affected. Again, I'm not going to even cut this out because the only place we're going to be working is over here on the right side of the wall. Okay. All right. So now that we've got a bounding box, we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at our stack here. We're going to do this above our retouch layer. No, we're going to do it below our retouch layer. So I'm going to go one below our retouch layer. I think it needs to be above our retouch layer because I think we took something off that wall. Oh, we didn't. Okay. In that case, so we haven't touched this wall with the retouch layer, so I am going to put it underneath it. We're just going to name this wall for the sake of keeping track of it in the stack of layers here. And then I'm going to put a mask on it, right? So there's the mask applied to that wall layer. We'll go back to it now, and I'm going to take a brush, okay? Again, I'm using a wall color here, and I'm making sure that I'm at some sort of 11 by 11, 5 by 5 average, okay? So it's not going to change a lot from top to bottom. There's the bottom, there's the top. It's actually a little darker on top, which is funny. So I'll take some tone here, okay? And I'll start to brush it away. So I'm going to every time that I'm sampling from here, I'm brushing in here. 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 Every time that I'm kind of changing sections of the wall, I'm gonna take a new sample and brush that in so I don't end up with like a weird gradient from top to bottom. Okay, so there you go. We've done a nice job of, fixing this problem. I'm then gonna take my, I'm gonna reselect my mask by command clicking on the wall mask here, and I'm gonna make a new hue saturation layer that's above the retouch layer, and I'm going to just desaturate that wall a little bit too, okay, so that it feels more, it's a little bit of a blue cast in there from it being north light beyond. Feeling good, though, we have this sort of fall off that we should have on the top, so we might go in and actually kind of manually create that. Okay, so we're actually going to use a little bit of this tone from the other side, and now I'm going to take my flow down to 5% rather than 10. I'm just going to start to one pass at a time, more on the top than the bottom. There you go. So it's starting to feel a little more like the other side, right? We've got a little bit of a darker situation. Let's see if I can take you back. So that was before, that's after. We've given us a little bit of a fall off on the top of the wall. The last thing I want to do is just turn this layer off, turn it back on. So it isn't really that much different, right? Like, yeah, this is a little tricky. I got a little sloppy about the mask there, and then it looks a little funny. So I'm going to go ahead and just quickly fix that part of the mask so we don't have a highlight line there. Yeah, that looks fine, I think. Yeah, better. Okay, so now our sides of the building are looking a little more uniform. This side, if anything, could maybe lighten up just a little bit. We can check to see if our hue saturation layer. Yeah, we probably have enough. So I just, again, command clicked our hue saturation layer that we made here. I'm going to remove this whole side from it. And then I'm going to go into my mask and I'm going to remove this bottom section here, just because I'm feeling like this section is a little too dark compared to the right side now. I'm just wanting to balance out the image. It's going to be a subtle move. Just that much gives us a little, you know, a little more balance from side to side. We could go in and brush, you know, we could go in and, did I deselect that? Where's my, oh right. I actually made a layer so we could go in and actually brush a little bit of, you know, in a similar way, we could brush a little bit of this lighter tone into this area to make it feel a little more uniform. Probably isn't a terrible thing to do. Yeah, okay. So there you go. 1, 2, 3 walls. They're feeling similar. It's fine that this one's a little lighter. It's on a big window wall. So, oh, are we getting close? I think we're getting close. All right, so there's one thing I really don't like, which is the magenta feeling of this bit of table here. It's reflecting that wall and it's doing something weird to it where it's picked up this magenta tone in this very neutral table. So we're going to go ahead and just hue saturate, remove some of that magenta tone there. Feeling more like it's reflecting a clean white wall now. Yeah, okay, that's nice. The rest of this is reflecting wood, which I think is fine. I guess we could kind of do the same thing over here where it's reflecting the white wall. Yeah, okay. Now we've got uniformly gray sides. It's feeling pretty good. Let's throw all these layers in a group here. Turn them off and then turn our other group on. Pretty much the same. Yeah, we did a little more work on the walls today together, but I'm fine with that. One other thing that we didn't do before, but I might do now, is take one more color layer here. You know what, I don't even need a mask for this. Let's just take unmasked color layer and we'll grab a big soft brush. We'll take a little tone from over here and we'll just brush it in over here. That feels better. Just a little bit, right? It took some of that green out of the ceiling here. It's feeling good. Yeah, that was a really nice move. That was a 10-second move that made a huge difference in the feel of the image. We don't have that green contaminant, that light coming in from the forest outside. So, okay. The last thing that I'm noticing now is that we dropped in the windows on the right, and they're feeling a little bit brighter, or they're feeling a little darker than the windows on the left here, which I didn't really pay any attention to earlier. So we might go back down to our layer that had the had our drop in, right, and just drop in those pixels too. It's going to be pretty subtle here. I know it's only probably a half a stop or something like that, how much tone we actually brushed in. We'll go back and cut that handle out. The only reason that I don't just cut around everything and I complete a mask and go back is because too many times in life I've got a little too click happy going around a corner and accidentally closed a mask by double clicking. So I find it's a little safer to just make a smooth cut and then come back and cut around details sometimes. So, okay, that's it. That's a residential interior. That's a kitchen view. An elevation, meaning it's a 1-point perspective, meaning it's straight on, centered in the kitchen. So, really lovely house, really lovely space. Let me turn my camera back on here and say goodbye. You guys, I appreciate everything. It's been fun doing this. I've enjoyed your comments and your suggestions. I'm going to ask you one more time here, if you have ideas, if you have things you want to learn about, things you want to see, please put it in the comments down below. I want to know what else you're wanting to learn about. I can just keep going and giving you long form retouching on different projects, but it would be really helpful if you guys have ideas. I want to hear them. So whatever you want to know, I'll try to get a video made, and we'll do it, whether it's a type of building, whether it's how to use a specific tool, whether it's how to use a different program like Capture One. You just let me know and I'll see what I can do. So thank you all for your time. Have a great day.